Welcome to episode 168 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg. My co-host, Warren Sklar, is back. How you doing, Warren?
It seems like every other week I'm here, so that's good. I'm doing good. Excited for tomorrow. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that.
It's been a decent Apple week for everybody. So
I think we have a few things to talk about, but what better person to be here to talk about all the stuff that happened this past week with Apple is Mr. Jeff Gamet. Welcome back to the show, Jeff. How you doing?
It's great to be back, and I just assumed you were going to say Warren again. But
no.
It's awesome to be here.
Yes, definitely is. There must have been something going on this week. Oh yeah, there was an Apple event. That's okay. No, there's probably more stuff we could talk about than to fit into the time frame we usually have, but we're going to get through as much as we can and not go too crazy because, of course, Apple had their California streaming event on this past Tuesday as we record this, and it was actually a pretty good event, I thought. We'll talk about how it was in a bit here. Got some news stories, but we'll put a lot of focus on what our thoughts were about the event and whatever else kind of happens here. We'll see how it goes here. So, but let's go ahead and talk about the news. I got a couple of news stories here that I found interesting. Most of the sources here are from Mac Rumors. This is a story this past week. Here is how Apple strategically places its products in Apple TV Plus shows. There's a new video report. This is by the Wall Street Journal. Actually, Joanna Stern, which I always enjoy reading. She's a great tech columnist for that paper. Which required watching over 74 episodes of Apple TV Plus shows. Oh boy, that's a lot of shows to watch in one sitting there. And to have to figure out what Apple product placement occurred in all of those shows, which includes the morning show, Ted Lasso, of course, Defending Jacob, Trying, and finding out precisely where Apple product placements are done and throughout the specific episodes. According to the reports, there was 300 iPhones, 120 MacBooks, 40 pairs of AirPods were shown throughout certain scenes. This equates to over 700 Apple product placements. To put that in perspective, in one episode of Ted Lasso, a total of 36 products were shown either on set or actively being used by characters. This is interesting. I always knew that Apple, with the Apple TV Plus shows, always had some pretty awesome product placements for obvious reasons. And I always notice it. I'm sure you do, Jeff, right?
Oh, of course. Sometimes it just fits in as part of the show, but sometimes it feels almost ham-fisted.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any real way to avoid that. But yeah, it's pretty clear that there's a lot of Apple product placement in the shows on Apple TV.
And there's always plot placements involved. If you watch Ted Lasso, there's a FaceTime that's occurring, or they're looking at their iCloud backup, or Beard would mention iCloud or something. You would never in a million years will be watching a show thinking that would ever be mentioned. But leave it to Apple TV Plus. But the other interesting thing is the fact that if there's any bad guys in a show, that they don't have Apple products, they have Android or they have a flip phone. They always have a non-Apple product. So. What do you think of this, Warren?
You see that a lot outside of Apple TV Plus.
So there's one character that was bad that used Apple iPhone. Do you know who it is? And it's way past spoiler time, so I don't.
Go ahead.
I'm not worried.
What is it? I don't know.
Defending Jacob, the kid Jacob. He did it, and he had the iPhone, so he was bad.
He was bad, but he's the show. It was a plot. That's probably why.
He was a bad kid. Sorry. But yeah, it's also funny if you ever watch like other shows that are not on Apple TV. You see, it's obviously a MacBook, but it has a big sticker around the Mac logo, right?
Yeah, it's a Mac.
So they're out there. It's a Mac.
Or it's an iPhone.
Yeah. I mean, as a geek, I'm constantly trying to figure out what laptop people are using in there too.
Even the sounds you hear, we all know the sounds an iPhone makes. You hear them in the show, and that's an iPhone. And they even put, not only is it a visual, it's an audible product placement too. So it's it's pretty awesome that they do that. And this is a great video that they put together. Check that out. The link in the show notes here. That they did some good research. I like this. So we know the product placement isn't there, and you can check them out. Next story. This is a really important story, actually. For those of us who are still running iOS 14, iOS 14.8 and iPad OS 14.8 was released with security updates. This past week, Apple released the 8th major update to release, which is very kind of unusual to release a .8 version of an OS just before the next version of iOS is coming out. But this was a pretty serious update. This was there was a core graphics bug that could allow any maliciously crafted PDF to lead to arbitrary code execution in WebKit, kind of part of the Pegasus a variant that was going on around, but this made mainstream media. So if you haven't already, if you're still running iOS 14, I know at least two of us are not anymore, but that you go out, update this right now.
For 4 more days.
Yeah, for 4 more days, I know, but still, there's a lot of people who are still going to probably still continue on with iOS 14. So,
I think the news story kind of over.
It's always they do. When I know CNN is showing it, you know, it's oh my god.
I mean, it wasn't just like the odds of it wasn't this the one where like Jeff, you ran the thing from iAmazing to see if you had it. This was the thing you were looking for.
Yeah.
And this was a thing that, like, 1% of nobody ever got. Yeah. So it made, nightly news. So now, like, even my wife is like, I think I'm supposed to update my phone. I'm like, yeah, well, you should do that normally, but I think it was overhyped.
But this was, I think, this also involved iMessage, where anything could just be arbitrarily launched without you knowing. Too.
Yeah. That's the 0 day attack. That's what they say.
The 0 day, right?
0 click is a 0 day, 0 click, something
0
like
click
that.
0 day.
Means you don't have to,
0
basically it means you don't have to do anything to have it happen. So it's bad, but updates are always good. I like updates.
We all like updates. I think all
never
three of us
anybody not to do their updates.
Are always updating. Any thoughts, Jeff?
This was a very high profile security flaw, and not because it was going to, or actually is impacting a very, very small percentage of people, but because of why it's impacting those people. I mean, this is something that governments have been using to target journalists and people that they see as dissidents and their political enemies.
Right.
So in that sense, giving it a lot of visibility is good because people need to know that stuff like this is happening. And so install the patch. And what I'm hoping is that as stuff like this gets patched, we end up with more of these long-running security flaws that have been known about on multiple platforms. I'm not focusing on Apple here.
Right.
But all of these known security flaws that are being exploited and exploited in ways that are designed to invade people's privacy and to harm people that are trying to expose problems in their government. We need to fix these things. So
for sure, let
this be a catalyst to get more people aware of this problem.
Absolutely. And this also includes WatchOS 7.6.2. So you should, anytime there's any updates, especially for the Watch, iPhone, or iPad, always should be updating it. There obviously is a reason when there's an incremental update for iOS, but go out.
Except for tvOS, don't worry about that crap.
Yeah, tvOS. You should.
They're not hacking your TV. I don't think.
No. But
I hope not.
I would hope not. But go out, run.
Then I'll miss episodes of Lower Decks.
That's right. Can't miss that. So run, go, do it. In fact, I put two links. There was actually, I put another article in there about the vulnerability we just talked about, besides what we just discussed in there as well. Next story, Apple's Shazam Control Center music recognition feature has hit over 1 billion songs identified. This was launched at iOS 14.2. Apple introduced a new Shazam music recognition toggle in Control Center, which you just had a simple way of just tapping a button and being able to have a quick, easy way to be able to identify what music was playing. The popular integration has been so popular, it's over 1 billion cumulative recognitions have been used by triggering it in there. And interesting to see some of the songs are in here. Things like Talking to the Moon by Bruno Mars and Astronaut in the Ocean, Masked Wolf, and some of these other songs I probably never heard of before. But it looks like Shazam has paid itself off with Apple's investment, don't you think, Jeff?
Yes. The thing that I didn't see, and it might simply be because I've been so busy with all the other stuff that's been announced. This is total Shazam songs identified, not since Apple acquired Shazam.
Right.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I have that right. Well, I mean, okay, great. Apple is promoting how popular this is.
Yeah.
But a serious chunk of this happened outside of Apple's ownership.
I don't think I've ever used it once, to be honest with you.
That's like
that's because you know every song.
Yeah, you're a knowledgeable songwriter.
I know my songs, but I mean, just opportunities. I mean, I'm not in a lot of places where I hear a song and I need to identify it, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, Shazam was like one of the first apps I ever downloaded, I think, when I first got my iPhone. It was like the neatest thing in the world when you, oh my God, I can have someone listen to a song and I can figure out what it is.
I like the game show with Jamie, what's his name?
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx. But does Apple own that show now?
I'm sure they have, they had to pay rights to use it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I guess so.
Whoever produces it.
That should be on Apple TV. They should name it Apple Shazam or whatever.
That's right. And then last story. We keep talking about this, but now they finally have made the firmware available to all users. Apple makes the latest AirTags firmware available to all users. Apple this week continue distributing new firmware to the AirTags, what was first rolled out in August. And there have been some minor releases and build numbers, and behind the scenes, those tweaks are metered to the number of people who were seeing the AirTag update all at one time. And they go on and on about this firmware, but finally, I think Apple's allowed this firmware just to go out to everybody. Everybody has AirTags, just fix it. What's the deal? And of course, they still won't tell us what's going on, why they did it. Are you surprised, Jeff? I mean, it's
shocked. He's shocked. I can see the look of shock on his face.
You can see my shocked look. Okay, this bugs me. Why won't Apple tell us what they're fixing?
Yeah,
it's they have this attitude towards updates where it's more like, don't you worry your pretty little head about this.
That's right.
And instead, what they should be saying is what they fixed. The firmware updates finally hit my AirTags today.
Did it? Okay. I haven't even looked. Again, I haven't had time to look at some of that stuff. So,
yeah, I looked only because I had heard that they were pushing it out to everyone finally, and why not give us the way to manually force a firmware update?
Exactly.
Can't do it. Same with the AirPods.
Exactly.
I got a cute AirTag story though. I came home from work and my wife and my son.
Better than the dog chewing.
I think I actually got a hold of Apple and they said they didn't charge me, so they didn't tell me, but I think they didn't charge. Anyways, no, this story is similar. I came home and my wife and my son were like, "We need you. We lost Charlie's collar, one of my dog's collar," and he's like, my son's like, "You have that thing on him, right?" So we played a little game of use the AirTags for real for the first time ever for a reason, and we found it. It was in the basement down here, so they were all looking in the yard, and it was actually the first time I actually found a actual use.
That's what it was for.
Which is what they're for. You're not supposed. The AirTags are the most boring Apple product out there because you never use them until you need it.
Yeah,
I have found that kids love them for games.
Really?
Like hide and seek.
Yeah.
But hide and seek would be like a cheat. You put one in your friend's back pocket and
Oh, that's a clever idea. No,
That is a clever idea, yeah.
the hide and seek that I've ended up doing. So, big family, little kids involved, and they like to take the AirTag and go and hide it somewhere.
Okay.
And then the other kids that didn't hide it, now they have to use the iPhone and hunt around and find the AirTag, and then the next kid hides it, and it's just a hide and seek game.
That's fun. Yeah, our game is to make the AirTags beep with the dogs around the dog's collar, and the dogs just go like this.
Yeah.
That's always fun too.
So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to topics as we always talk about each week. Beta, what's going on beta this week? Well, iOS 15, of course, is going to be out because of the new iPhone, which we'll talk about in a moment here. So the release candidate has been released to developers. I don't know if it's been released to the public beta as of yet. I don't think so actually, as of we record this. But basically what this means is it's a release candidate, means it's a near finished product. And usually what I do, Warren, we know you always have beta on all your devices all the time. Never fails. I usually put it on. I have the release candidate on my iPhone, my iPad, and I have Watch OS 8 on my Apple Watch. So I'm ahead of time. I'm really brave. Yeah, it's a release candidate, so I was ready to do it. I gave in, so because I got to start used to it.
I'll be honest with you. This is at least on the phone, it's one of the buggiest releases out there. So I hope they change it because I don't know, maybe it's
really, because I thought you said you were okay with it.
No, it's been great until the release candidate.
Oh,
for the most part, the release candidate.
Really?
Strangely enough, yeah. Oh yeah, like mail is doing stupid things where it doesn't show you mail unless you go out and back in, or sometimes things are crashing for no reason. So I will guarantee that this release candidate is not the final release. There's
probably going to be
mail problem that you're having. I'm having that on an iPad
with the same release
candidate.
Okay. Yeah, so
I just assumed, because of the limited time I've had to really play with it, I assumed I was actually having email server issues.
Yeah,
but apparently not.
No. If you go into the mail, sometimes you'll see the mail. Sometimes I'll delete a message out, and then it's still there until I go back out and go back in. So it's doing lots of stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
So there's that. My iPad Pro is, I don't use it as much, but that thing runs, I would have to say, twice as fast in the release candidate than it did in the last beta. It's screaming. It's really fast.
I will back you up on that one too. And I'm running it on a 10-inch iPad Pro. So old enough that it's using the first gen Apple Pencil.
Right, but it's still quick. Yeah.
It feels like it got a nice processor upgrade.
Yep. Good stuff.
Yeah, I did find a bug too, actually. I plugged my iPhone into my car for the first time to use CarPlay, and CarPlay didn't enable. I'm like, okay, all right, this is interesting. So I was like, okay, what's going on? And I had to wait until I got pulled over, and you should not be fumbling around trying to figure out while you're driving. Go ahead.
Did you get pulled over, or you pulled over?
I pulled over.
Okay, thank you.
I pulled over. That was a bad choice of words there.
Were you fumbling so much for the?
I did not fumble. I did not work on it until after I got to a safe stopping point. But I ended up having to remove the profile from CarPlay, the car profile from CarPlay, and then adding it back, and then it finally worked again.
My suggestion, and this is only what I do, and I do it on my Mac too, but when the final candidate comes out, I do an iCloud backup, I do a full wipe, and I do an iCloud restore on my iPad and my iPhone.
Okay.
And let it go. And I'll let it. The worst part about the whole process is my iCloud photo library takes about a day and a half to fully sync up. Mm-hmm. And but after that, it's pretty good. So
okay.
I plan to do that Monday. Is that when we're getting it?
Monday.
Is Monday the 20th?
Monday the 20th.
Is it the 20th? Well,
maybe.
Is it?
Or is it Tuesday?
Monday the 20th.
That sounds right.
Yeah, you're right. It's this Monday. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, this Monday.
On my calendar. Yeah.
So
I should have said it with more conviction. It's Monday the 20th. There. How sad.
so yes,
Look, it just came back in my email, and just one email right there, and from you. But then I go back, and they're all there. It's crazy.
Oh, I've had that bug even in iOS 14. So
yeah, I did. I had it in a few releases too, but not in 15.
So yes,
There was. I think iOS 13 was like terrible. Like, I don't think I got mail to work. It was so bad in one of the betas that I had to use another mail program for a while, and I forgot which one it was. Spark. So I downloaded Spark and I used that instead of the mail app.
yeah, Spark's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you have WatchOS 8 that's going to be out as well, and tvOS 15. All release candidates have been released, and I like Warren said, I would not be at all surprised where Thursday as we record this, when maybe another release might come out, or even over the weekend. It's possible, but or the final candidate will be a next upgraded, the next upgraded version once they add those fixes. So
iOS 14, the first version was a mess. Remember that?
Yeah, it was. They had to go to .1.
Yes, it was.
I mean, just because we get the final version Monday, I don't know. People last time around got spooked about doing. There's a lot of people out there that says, I never put the first iteration of the new release on my stuff. And
Don't think of what comes out Monday as the
you got to do it.
version.
Yeah,
it's the first public release.
Right? And Apple has said publicly that they aren't going to force people to install it right away. You could stay on iOS 14 for the foreseeable future if you so choose, which makes sense. Just kind of fitting why they released 14.8 too. Besides the security problems, so not be surprising. I'd be interested to see how early adoption goes with iOS 15 now that iOS 14 is going to be a little easier to stay on, because people kind of just
install the crap out of this.
Yeah, they will, because that's how it is with iOS. I mean, they want to install it, like I said, install the crap out of it.
I think Apple will start more aggressively pushing iOS 15 when macOS Monterey comes out, because then we'll start getting features that tie the operating systems together, and you really want to have everyone on Monterey and iOS 15.
Absolutely.
For universal control, it's not there yet.
It's not there yet, right?
I mean, real fast on that, it must not be an iOS feature, or it's not in the code. I was expecting in the RC on the iPad OS that there would be some code, telling you about the universal access. So it must be all mostly driven on the Mac, the Monterey.
Yeah. And then I'll mention we have an article here from 9 to 5 Mac. It relates to everything new with the HomePod. It's the upcoming software updates coming for that as well. The release candidate version is of the HomePod 15, they're calling it, or they're calling it software version 15 instead of it Home OS or whatever. We've always wondered if they would ever call it that, but they never did. It's going to be available for both the HomePod and the HomePod Mini. And apart from bug fixes and stability improvements, there's going to be a bunch of stuff here. Select a single or pair of HomePod Minis as the default speakers for your Apple TV, which I've been using. Media playback and controlling automatically appear in your iPhone's lock screen. So there's going to be some added features. Looks like just some other cool things that'll be added. One thing that wasn't in the beta was lossless and Dolby Atmos and spatial audio support, which Jeff, you being the audio person here, I had thought that was going to be a challenge as it was anyway, because these are wireless speakers, right?
Well, yes, but also no. Okay, so yes, the wireless speakers. No, it doesn't have to be a challenge. You can set this up so that it works for streaming, and and since you're using Wi-Fi for that, you have plenty of bandwidth for the higher quality audio files.
Okay,
it's just if you're trying to AirPlay to it. Well, actually, if you're AirPlaying, that ends up going over Wi-Fi as well. If you're trying to send something to it via Bluetooth, that's where this would fall down.
Okay.
This is actually the big feature where I'm disappointed it's not there.
Right. The HomePods don't have Bluetooth, right? So
Right. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's all AirPlay, right? It's all AirPlay or
Yeah,
over,
it's all
That's all
AirPlay.
AirPlay.
Yeah.
So so I mean, you should get it if you're streaming directly from the HomePod itself, right? But if you're AirPlaying it, that's also the question, is whether it could actually transmit that over to.
Well, since it's Wi-Fi, the bandwidth is there,
Right.
so it's possible to do. But it wouldn't surprise me if Apple does this in such a way where you actually just have to stream music to take advantage of the higher quality audio files.
Absolutely.
You got to wonder why they didn't make the AirPods Pro Max AirPlay compatible for this reason.
Well, my guess is battery life.
Could be.
Yeah.
So that's good information about the HomePod. So we got a lot of updates coming next week. We'll definitely give you our reviews of how the updates have gone, as well as we're going to move on now to talk about the California streaming event, Apple's event that occurred this past Tuesday. I honestly, I'd like to get your guys' opinions on how the actual event in itself. But before we dive into the actual products, I thought Apple did a just even more spectacular job with this event. I felt the production value was just top notch. I mean, I went back and watched it again, and just the audio quality is great, and then just the camera and the camera work and just everything overall. What do you think, Jeff? I thought this was something that was really good, huh?
I was very pleased. I know that I have seen at least some people complaining on social media that it was a ho-hum event.
Yeah.
And I bet we'll have an opportunity to talk more about that before the night is done. But I thought it was a very well-produced, very polished, very professional event.
Yeah.
They kept everything moving along. And the one part that I saw people, at least some people, saying this is ridiculous, they should have just done this as a 30-second blurb, was the Fitness Plus.
Fitness Plus, yes.
And what they're forgetting is that these media events have a wide audience.
True.
And different parts of the presentation are targeted at a different part of that audience. And I think that the Fitness Plus was really targeted at journalists.
Right.
And
sure.
It was important to get the message to them that the whole Fitness Plus thing is this big integral part of Apple's health and fitness push, and how it ties in with Apple Watch and the whole commitment that Apple has there. And so they had to do a lot to show all of these things so that the appropriate people would see it when they needed to.
Yeah. Did you like Warren?
Yeah, I mean, production was great. I mean, there's no doubt that this whole show was about creativity. Apple is pushing direct. They want people to be directors, artists, creators. And they're making a presentation that's going to show off their ability to do that with their products. So as far as the presentation, it was great. There's something out there that I'll find and link to, but it's parody, and basically it's about. Did you see it with the forks out there?
I didn't see it.
No.
Somebody made a parody if Apple made if the keynote was about forks, and there's like 6 forks, and it's like all Johnny I have like steel and the 3 more blades than last year kind of thing, and so I'll post that. It's funny, but it's basically just saying it's a lot of the same things that they do every year, basically, which is showing the product and just showing it dazzling around in space and all that good stuff. But it was entertaining. I didn't fall asleep that much.
No, I didn't. I didn't fall asleep. I don't normally fall asleep during an Apple event, especially when I'm doing a podcast at the time. But I thought the event did very well. So, but let's kind of just go over. I mean, we'll just talk about the 4 or 5 things that were talked about during the event. They first talked about Apple TV Plus. I don't need to go through all the shows. There's all I put a list in the show notes here for that. But Ted Lasso is continuing. You got the morning show. It's going to be starting this actually tomorrow after we record this. I'll be there at season's 2 opener, and then Jon Stewart's going to have a new show. There's a number of others. You got Swagger, Invasion, Finch, and other others. Foundation. That's another sci-fi show that's going to be looks really really cool. So I guess what do you think? Do you think Apple TV was just? Do you think Apple TV Plus is a thing now, or was it just kind of that they just jump through it? Because I mean, we all thought the first year we were getting it for free with our products. Now it's coming pretty serious. I mean, they're really starting to get some high production of these different shows and movies.
Yeah, Apple TV's the thing.
It really is.
Yeah. And Apple is seriously committed to this, and it shows with the diversity of programming they have and the production quality.
Yeah. And
there's people that are saying, well, Apple doesn't have that much content.
Well, I just named all the shows here. It's all just this alone of all the new stuff. and there's more than what you listed overall. Yeah. And Apple's very committed to this, and people, they'll say, well, yeah, but I mean, look at where Netflix was at this point. No, at this point in Netflix's world, they were mailing you DVDs. Right. I was a subscriber. I was getting them.
Yeah. But if you look at when they started producing content, and people said, well, Netflix has this massive library of content. No, Netflix had a very small library of original content, right, and the back library of all the content that they had already been making available to you.
Right.
I think Apple's doing really good with their programming expansion, and where they are right now seems like a good place for them to be. This is a place where you don't want to grow too fast when you're in Apple's position, because you don't want to do like what Netflix and Amazon do, where they can just throw out tons of stuff and you'll have several hits and then a few duds. Apple doesn't want to have any duds. And I'd say, even though not every show that they have produced is something that I'm personally interested in,
right,
I don't think that they're putting out duds right now.
No. Come on. Who thought of the first season of Ted Lasso gets 20 Emmy nominations? I mean, that's
holy crap.
Yeah. I don't ever know of any show in its first season get 20 nominations. I hope they clean up. I think the Emmys are just coming Sunday, too.
The only way to watch this show is to pay for Apple TV Plus.
Exactly. Yeah. So we got a show. We had the iPad, which I was actually completely shocked. The rumors were saying that they weren't going to announce iPads. Well, then they came up with a 9th gen entry-level model we'll talk about, and then the iPad mini 6th gen, which is pretty exciting. We have an Apple Watch Series 7, which is coming later. We'll talk about that. The iPhone 13, 13 Pro, 13 Pro Max. And then you have Fitness Plus was talked about. Like you said, was way too much time spent on it. But let's talk a little bit about the iPad. I was pleasantly surprised to see that they did do an upgrade to the 9th gen. Now it's a 9th gen. That the entry-level model, which starts at $329, which is a steal for an iPad. And really put some bumped up processing speed and really did some good stuff with it. Not something I'd probably be much interested in, but I'm a little excited to see the fact that even at the education level, they're going to be offering that at a $299 price point. So it's going to make these schools be able to afford these iPads have a little more comfort level, because they can't be spending $600-700 for an iPad for when it's being used for kids and they get beat up, and they just need them, for education. So, what did you think of that iPad, Jeff?
It's okay, Jeff. Okay, it's me.
Jeff,
yes,
Jeff.
I I was pretty pleased with the new entry-level iPad. And I think it's a really good price point, and the overall feature set is really nice. On one hand, I was surprised that they're sticking with the first-gen Apple Pencil, but on the other hand, that helped keep the costs lower, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Because if they had changed, then they would have had to change the body to accommodate the new Apple Pencil.
And then, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go.
Oh, but then that iPad Mini 6.
Yeah. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
We're not there.
No,
I covet.
we're going to. Yeah. Let's. I don't want to spend a huge amount of detail here on this model, but center stage was a big feature that now is being added to both these iPads, which is exciting, and it's a great iPad. Let's move to the iPad Mini. I knew because I was super like you. I was like super excited about it. I know both of you have probably or have already pre-ordered one as it is, this iPad was just phenomenal. It's the fastest iPad in the low end models now, and now it has USB-C as a connector. Now that means that the low end iPad is the only one left that has a Lightning connector. So. And
I wouldn't consider the iPad Mini 6 a low-end iPad.
No, not
I would
at all.
consider a small form factor powerhouse iPad.
Oh,
it's an iPad Air. The last, it's pretty much exactly the last iPad Air in smaller form. It really is what it is, which is good. It's actually a good thing. So
no, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's got the Touch ID in the power button, which is great. It's fine for me. I'm actually excited to play with that. The worst part of all this is I know I have an orange cover for an iPad 5 somewhere in my basement that I can't find. So that supposedly it's going to fit on the 6. We'll see how it does. But.
If only it had an AirTag on it, right?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, no, this was in the time before AirTags. But yeah, I'm excited for mine. I told myself I wasn't going to buy it, but I've been wanting this forever. I've had the iPad 1 through 6, 1 through 5, and I tend to sell them halfway through my ownership of them because I end up getting the bigger one, and then I'm like, why do I have 2? And that's where I'll be again. I'll have my iPad Pro, and I'll have this, and then I'll try to figure out if I need both of them again.
Right.
But I think I'll find a use for it. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet. You say we got this powerhouse, but what are we going to do with it, right? And,
right.
In previous years with the Mini, it's been reading, watching movies, things like that. What are we going to do with the power? I guess is a question. So we'll see how it goes. But go ahead. What are you doing with it?
For me, that power means I don't have to buy a new iPad Mini for a longer period of time.
Right.
Because there comes a point where, regardless of what you're doing with it, like if you're just doing email and messages and stuff, at some point the operating system starts slowing it down.
Yeah.
So you can go longer before that becomes an issue.
If the iPad 5 had a full screen like the 6 did, I think it would have been just as good. I'm doing it for the screen. I'm not doing it for any other reason.
Okay.
Just having the full screen on it is
my reason. Me, I have an iPad Mini 4, which is nice. It's still a very nice iPad, and it needs a new battery at some point. Well, now. And I'll get a new battery put in it at some point. But having the new iPad Mini will fit in nicely with the rest of my iPad workflow because I'll actually be doing content creation on my 12.9-inch iPad Pro, and then I use the iPad Mini as a research tool, and I'm sending stuff over from the Mini to the Pro, and now I'll have a setup where I can just use the same Apple Pencil on both. I can use the same dongles on both because they have the same cable connector now. And it's ultimately what it's going to do is make my multi-iPad workflow smoother because the devices will be much more similar.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could can you sidecar to iPads? Has anybody tried to sidecar to them?
Which just breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Because I would totally do that.
I would totally do it too.
Yeah,
I have a theory about this. I do have a theory about the iPad Mini. I think at one point they had a conversation of whether they were going to make the iPad OS 15 more Mac-like, which people were complaining that it's not. That there's so much more power you could do with it, and they're not doing it. But I think they knew that they were going to release this iPad Mini, and I think they had plans for this. And the iPad Mini would not translate to a good desktop experience. It's too small to really deal with that. So you would have to almost break off another operating system for a small screen, because it doesn't translate well for a professional desktop type experience. That's my theory. I think Tim Cook said it's either iPad Mini, or making more multitasking stuff happen with the iPad, and I think they went with the Mini.
Yeah. So Apple Pencil 2 support, which is great. All day battery life. The battery life is going to be phenomenal. Like I said, I don't want to go through a lot of text here, but the tech information. But I think the Touch ID is a game changer. That's awesome. I think. So basically what it did was it took a lot of what the technology of the iPad Air had, but also has a much faster processor, the A15 Bionic processor in there. So that
Which may be throttled, by the way.
It could be. Yep. So, yep. And then you said both of you have got one already on pre-order, right?
I have not gotten around to pre-ordering mine yet.
Okay. So
You'll be fine. They're going to sell these in gas stations. They're going to be seriously, these things are going to be everywhere. They're going to be in Target. They're going to be in
Gotcha.
There's not going to be a supply issue, because Apple is going to make money off this, and they're going to put them where
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about pre-ordering because I don't think it will be a problem to pick one up when they come out.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in the sense that they won't sell. I'm saying it in the sense that I believe Apple is going to be able to produce enough of these,
Right.
so that they can really meet demand.
This will be like the Christmas gift, I think, if they
can have enough stock.
If this is going to go. I ordered one in sandstone, and I don't know what that means really, but we'll find out. So I think it's some kind of white, maybe, or beige. I don't know. And the one complaint I do have about it is the 64 gig to 256 gig jump.
Yeah, the space.
It should have started at 128,
128,
instead of 64.
Either started at 128 or gave you a 128. Sorry, Giants are obviously scoring. That's you might hear my wife scream.
I heard that.
So 128 gig would have been probably better, but I got to 256 because 64 is going to be too small. So that's a shame.
All right,
but if you go through the Apple Store, my son may use it, so you could go through a little discount there if you wanted to do that.
Got it.
I'm not saying.
All right, and real quick, we'll talk just a brief mention about the Apple Watch. The Series 7, I didn't think was very too exciting. The only thing that really stood out was like saying that we're going to have a full keyboard with quick path. Big deal. It's got some new colors. I didn't get excited, but I have a Series 6. I don't think I'm gonna upgrade. It wasn't too exciting to me. What about you guys?
I have a Series 4.
You might be open.
No,
I don't think I'm going to upgrade.
Okay.
No, if they had increased the number of sensors, so it was gathering additional data, I think this would be the year that I upgraded. Mm-hmm. But the bigger screen is nice, but there's not enough difference between the 6 and the 7 for me to justify the 7.
Yeah.
And I say that because I couldn't justify the 6. So
you could get a good deal on the 6 if you want. If you want to go for the 6, I mean, that's a good point. The 6 and the 7 are pretty close to each other as far as we know. There's going to be good deals on the 6. If you really wanted to get a 6, nobody's blame you for that.
I think that my next Apple Watch will be Series 8.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the green. I would get it just for the green color because I like that color. But I'm not. I'm like you. I'm not super excited. I mean, it's a shame because the rumor mill really ruins it ruins the experience too. And that's. I mean, I think that's why leakers are. Also, the other problem with leakers, and it's not a problem because we all enjoy it, but the problem is you become disappointed when they don't. If there were no rumors going up to the event and we knew nothing, and they had the event, we would all be a lot happier than we are now.
Yeah.
Because the rumors kind of let you down because they talk about blood. Glucose monitoring and temperature, and
right.
This whole thing.
That's,
the temperature would be
that would have been a game changer.
I would have been stunned if blood glucose monitoring had been in this. Honestly, I wasn't disappointed with the announcement with the new model.
Yeah,
it's just when I look at what it offers versus what I have, it's not enough yet for me to go ahead and jump to a new model.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I will say is that they're not out yet, and Apple starts to
later in the fall, they say.
But even now, after the iPhone was really announced, we keep finding out tidbits that come out after the fact of the release that and now there's more time, so we're going to hear things about the watch that we didn't hear in the keynote that we're considering. Right. That might
That's
be
true. I could end up changing my mind.
Yeah.
If
wait, I copy and paste your Facebook post? You said you weren't getting. That's right. You said you weren't going to get the phone or the watch, and I said I'm going to hold this for prosperity, Jeff. So we'll see what happens.
And I fully expect that if I end up getting a watch, that you'll be ready with those words to throw them back in my lap, and that's totally acceptable.
I did a screenshot and I saved it to my iPad photos, so we're ready to go.
Awesome.
So let's talk about the big one. The big one. Well, I don't know if it was really big, but it always is the iPhone. They came out with the 13, iPhone 13. You have the 13, the 13 mini, and then you have the 13 Pro and the 13 Pro Max. Now, I was watching the event, and Chuck Joyner and I were like, what? There's no Pro? Because there was such a delay between them talking about the 13 and the 13 Pro, where I was like, this can't be. There's no way they're going to hold this off for another announcement. But then they finally announced it, which was great. So, yes, you're right. They're already talking about all kinds of other added things that they didn't talk about during the event. But we could talk just a little bit about what was added to the to these models. They're coming in four different colors. You have graphite gold, silver, and Sierra blue, which is actually similar to the 12. Had the Pacific blue. So the new blue is which I'm going with. We'll talk about it in a minute. Capacities are going to be interesting as well. You've got the Pro line, and then you have the iPhone 13. So the 13 is being aimed more towards people who are not interested in the high-end camera and a lot of the other stuff that's adding. There's our friend Brittany Smith is very happy. She's going to be able to buy a 13 mini that we talked about on Mac Voices Live earlier this week. So anybody who likes the mini are very happy that's there. I still don't know if it's going to be a very, very big seller, but I guess Apple feels it's worthy of an upgrade. So. But
I think it's a bigger seller outside the United States than inside. But I am so glad that they kept that size around.
Yeah. So
they had the shell left over from last year, so they just gutted it, put something else in it.
And you kind of hit that's a good point about this model. There really isn't any subtle differences. Other things are just kind of different places. Yeah, they upgraded to the A15 Bionic, so the processor is always going to be a step up each year. But I don't know if a lot of people are too terribly excited about what was announced with these iPhones. It really is, again, I think the iPhone ecosystem is in a place where there's so many of them out there that if people are on the iPhone 7 or the iPhone 8, they might consider upgrading at this point. But people that have like the 11 and the 12, they would probably think twice. Do they really want to go through this upgrade? But let me talk about the product a little more here. We'll get to that. The Pro and the Pro Max have the insane cameras, and you got the cinema feature, which was really cool. I thought it was a great demo. I mean, yeah, who's going to be taking that? I mean, are you going to be a filmmaker and be taking pictures, taking videos of stuff, and they were showing how it focused on the subject, and then when someone else talked behind it, it would refocus, and it was a real cool feature. But is this something? Is this something that people are going to want to use? I just don't think it's going to be anything too exciting for most people.
For most people, it's just cool.
Yeah,
but there's a subset of people where this is a game changer.
Yes.
There are people that are using iPhones already for professional movie work. And what Apple is doing with the Pro and Pro Max now, especially since it's the same cameras on both, which is excellent. It's what it should have been. Mm-hmm. What they're doing is saying, hey, do you want to be able to capture professional quality video for your professional production? And do you want to be able to do it without having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on camera gear? Yep. Do you want to be able to go out and shoot pro level stuff on a tight budget? We've got the camera for you. By the way, you can also send text messages and make phone calls with it if you need to.
Right.
I gotta wonder how many people are doing it though. I mean, there's no big studios doing it. We know that.
Well, keep in mind that there's a lot more to the movie world than the big studios. Think about all of the independent studios and think of all of the film festivals that happen all around the world, where you're getting these smaller productions where they're making really good content, but they're not doing it under the label of Universal or Sony Pictures. They're doing it out of the back of a Subaru with money they borrowed from friends.
Right.
But they're making really good stuff. Well, now they have cameras that let them do that even better.
Right.
And they don't have to try and come up with the money to rent a Red or something.
Right, but we're in a creator era, so Apple is targeting the TikTok people. I think more with this, they're creating people who think they're ready to do that, or getting to the film festivals and things like that. And some of them might be, and some of them might be, and some of them might not be. But I think that's who they're selling to. They're selling for the people who are looking to maybe get into it, and not the people who are into it already. I think anybody who's established enough is going to have professional Sony cameras, and I'm friends with a cameraman.
Probably.
Actually, I'm friends with a cameraman in who works in Hollywood, and I talked to them about it. And they all have these crazy cameras, and they love them. I mean, it's like the way we like our Apple stuff. They like these cameras, and
of course,
and it's like what they use. So.
But think about all those people that are out there that have that amazing movie that they can make. If only they could get a quality camera that they could afford. Mm. And now you can, just sign up for a phone plan and pay it off no interest over the course of a year or 18 months.
Right.
I think this is really great for those people that are breaking in to the space, and the people that want to supplement their pro content without having to go and grab another Red. Clearly, I have a thing for the Red cameras. I just love them.
And they had two filmmakers in the event that actually they allowed them to use the camera and create some content, and they showed it, and it was
and it looked good.
It looked really good. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure the stupid TikTok videos are going to look great in the future. I'm excited for these dumb. I'm going to do one like with my dogs. I already thought about it. One in the front, one in the back, and I'm just going to change the focus back and forth and see what happens.
I'm going to watch the crap out of your TikTok channel.
I got to sign up to have a TikTok account.
I wondered if you even have one of those. You're always on Facebook. So the cinematic mode was cool, but I don't see it to being anything that crazy. The photographic styles, being able to actually set your camera into a type of style that you take pictures of, again, that's probably a more of an advanced photographer that may want to utilize something like that.
I think that's actually really cool.
It's really cool, though. I know. I thought it was really cool. And then night mode is even more improved, which I think is going to be even more of a game changer because people love taking pictures at night.
All the cameras now.
All the cameras, right? All 3 lenses, all cameras.
Yep.
And then you had the ProMotion that's going to be coming with the Super Retina XDR, which is going to give some even more insane video content. In fact, this video is going to be that's also the ProRes video. The ProRes video is going to be insane large files. In fact, you're going to probably, I believe, and I know they said it, that you have to have a minimum. You got to have a minimum of a 256 gigabyte iPhone Pro in order to even take advantage of that. That's coming not later. It's not going to be at release. So yeah, I think the camera was a big standout part of it. The processor's got a 5-core GPU, so you're going to have some really high end. Oh yeah, they also talked about the refresh rate. You're going from a variable refresh rate up to 120 hertz. Which is going to be interesting to see how it reacts as you're using the phone. That kind of intrigued me to see how that was going to work.
It looked like the iPad Pro. That's the same.
Yeah, the way it works on the iPad Pro, right. I mean, it's really slick. Like I can't tell when it's changing.
I think it's more for gamers. I think
that's what I said.
For gaming. It's a thing for them.
And then the macro photography was improved, so you're going to have stuff like that for the Pro, and you are definitely going to have some interesting things with this. A couple things that did stand out: the storage. Thank God, 128 is the base. No more 64 gigabytes. Finally. Remember why we were dealing with 16 gigs and 32 gigs? That they were so stuck on that for years on iPhones. So 128, that's the base on all iPhones to start. Now it's going to go 256, 512, and then on the Pros you can get 1 terabyte, which is crazy.
If you're doing video, just get a 1 terabyte.
If you're going to be doing a lot of video, you want 1 terabyte. And the price maxed out with that, I believe, was $1,700. I think it was with the Pro Max. So you definitely got some great things here. Again, my thought for most people, I say to anybody that asks me, should I upgrade? Okay, it all depends on what you do, and if you're happy with the phone you have. There's still people who have 6S and 6S Plus out there that are still happy with it, and they don't want to upgrade. And that's a 5 or 6 year old phone, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't associate with those people. Sorry.
Yeah, well, and you are going to be able to update to iOS 15 on those models, but there's going to be limited to a lot of features that you won't have because of the slow processor.
Also, not the right version of Bluetooth, and you don't have the U1 chip, but still, the fact that we can install iOS 15 on a 6-year-old phone and it'll run, that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple other things of note. Again, I talked about the space. They did say the RAM is the same between the 12 and the 13. They really didn't change that, so that's telling you that it's the same. The notch. Everybody who has such a hang up with the notch. I mean, I don't want this phone. I got the notch. There's a notch here, and I've dealt with the notch for years. There's never been a problem with it, but I guess it is about 20% smaller.
Would we prefer it? I mean, would we prefer it not being there?
Yeah, of course. Yes,
but it's not the end of the world.
It's not as long, but it's a little bit taller.
Yeah, so, I actually think it looks better on the 12. From the pictures, it looked kind of bulkier and boxier to me on the 13, but we'll see what it looks like.
Yeah, the safe zone for developers doesn't change, so the net improvement is 0.
Exactly.
They still can't fit the battery percentage on it.
I was going to mention that too. The battery percentage still can't fit on there because of the notch. The other thing was that there. Dual eSIM. All iPhone 13 models will now have dual eSIM. So you could have two. Like I've been doing it now. I have physical SIM and an eSIM, because I couldn't do it on the 12. So I'd have two lines if I ever, whenever you need some you might want to do it for when you travel overseas. But you'll still be able to have a physical SIM. But now you can set up. Yeah, a physical SIM is there as well.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were keeping that as well. But, no.
Yes. As far as my understanding was, they're going to do that.
Have to keep the physical SIM.
Yeah, they do.
Not all carriers are equipped to support eSIM.
What you can do with three possible? Okay.
You could have, I guess you could conceivably have three phone lines in one phone. I don't know. Why would you need it? Is beyond me.
From what I understand, you could not, if you wanted, not have a physical SIM.
Oh yeah, you can do it now
and just do an eSIM and nothing else.
That's what I do now.
You can do that on the 12 right now. Yeah. So you could do that too with the two. I mean, it's a lot of numbers for one phone, but
and the carriers.
I think it's more popular overseas. I think that's the thing. Right?
Yeah, if you're traveling, it's nice. Like traveling internationally, it's nice to be able to either fire up an eSIM, or if you're running from eSIM all the time, just go and buy a physical SIM and pop that in the tray. My son's
going to be landing in Ireland tomorrow, Saturday morning, and he's all stoked because his 12 has the eSIM, and he's not going to have to schlep to whatever local place to get a SIM card. He's just going to do something on his phone, and it's going to Yes, so Dave Hamilton always talks about the Gig Sky, which I tried too as well, which is basically a global eSIM that you can do. You could do that at first, and then go to whatever else. But it's going to be convenient for him.
Nice.
Yeah.
So there are some subtle benefits that the iPhone's going to have. If you look at the iPhone product line now, they're discontinuing the XR, no surprise, and they're going to keep the I believe it was the 11 and the 12 in the line, and that's it. And then you have the SE. That's still going to be around, and they quietly did remove 256 gigabytes from the SE, so they're not selling the 256 model anymore. So this kind of tells me that which kind of hints maybe they might be coming out with a new SE next year, maybe, which is very possible.
You can still buy an Apple Watch 3, by the way.
And we didn't even talk about that. Crazy. Yeah, that which is crazy.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, when they said that,
the only sense of me is Apple must have made just way too many of them at 1 year, and that's the only reason I could think they're still selling them.
I think it's so cheap for them to make them.
Yeah.
And people are still buying them. So they're like, hey, as long as our production costs are this low, and people will still buy the product.
I think they're still producing them.
They're still producing them. Yeah. They're making. I
think there's a warehouse somewhere. But
they have to be. They have to be. It would be crazy not to be making them. So the iPhone line is going to be cool. So let's talk about who's upgrading. I mean, everybody knows I am, and everybody knows Warren is. I know
Jeff says he's not, but I have the printout.
You're on an iPhone 12 though, right? You have the iPhone 12.
I have an iPhone 12. Okay, so here's my strategy, and it fell apart on me. My strategy was since I was still on an iPhone 10, and I had replaced the battery in it, and we were in the middle of a pandemic, so I wasn't having to go places or do as much. I figured, my phone isn't going to get that much use, so I'm going to ride this one out, and then when the iPhone 13 comes around, that's when I'll upgrade. Mm-hmm. And partway through the year, I realized, actually, I'm having to delete apps off my phone every day to install the apps that I want to use that day, and I can't take photos with it. I'm trying to shoot some video, and I can't do that. I can't use this phone anymore.
Yeah.
And so, that was a few months ago, and I was like, okay, That's it. I'll just get an iPhone 12 Pro and call it good. And so I have it, and
perfectly good phone. I think you'll be happy with it. There's no reason.
I'm really happy with it. I would love the cameras on the 13, but I bought this phone outright. And so I've got it, and hey, that means I have one less bill that I'm paying. Why not just keep using a phone that's working great?
I wouldn't do it. I think I mean, unless my math is wrong, I'm getting the phone for free at this point because I have the 12 Pro Max 256. Apple, according to the site, Apple's giving me $790 for the phone, and T-Mobile's going to give me $500 in bill credit. And I know it's bill credit, but it's there, and I'm going to get it because I'm not switching.
Like 24 months, I think.
Yeah, but whatever. And you know what? They say that you have to be that in that, but my son did the same thing with his phone with his 12, and I paid it off early so he could go to Ireland with an unlocked phone, and they're still sending me the credit after that. So you could still pay it off and get that money back. So it's pretty good from what I'm understanding. So
yeah, I mean that's awesome. But I can't find any reason to get rid of this phone.
Who do you have for service?
Well, there's just a new model.
Who do you have for service?
It's I have AT&T.
They're doing the same thing. I think you should. I mean, it's almost free. Well, I mean, if you're okay with the bill credits coming back to you, and I could live with
something
that.
to consider.
Yeah, I know. It's and Warren, I fully understand.
I just have to
that
convince
at some
you
point
into the watch
you may
too.
be throwing that screenshot.
No,
back
now I
in
just
my
got to get you
face.
into the watch as well, and then we're talking. I'm gonna throw it right back in. No, but look into it. All I'm saying is if I'm wrong and this is too good to be true, then I'm sorry, and my wife will kill it.
Where me, I've been very comfortable, and I've been on the iPhone, the Apple trade-in program, the upgrade program every year for many years, ever since they put it in place. It's been around at least. I think the last 4 or 5 models I've had was through the upgrade program, whether as a matter of whether I either traded it in or I could take the phone and pay it off. And then in this case, I'm going to because a family member wants it, my 12 Pro Max. So, and that person also has my old 10s Max. So, so it's time for an upgrade for that phone because that one's that's getting a little old. So that's what I do, and I've already pre-ordered it, and so is Warren. They give you the option to pre-order it, so it's all ready to go. I had my loan in place, everything's approved. All I gotta do is wake up at 7 a.m. Central Time,
then tap a button.
5 a.m. Pacific Time, and tap a button, and it's ordered. And that's what I did last year on the 12 Pro Max. I'll be doing it again this year. And I went with the Sierra Blue because I had the Pacific Blue, and I wanted to stick. I like the color, and it looks like that Sierra Blue.
I like the blue.
Yeah, a little lighter color. So.
That green. What was it? Green. The 12.
I had the midnight
green,
or the midnight green, or what it was called, or forest green, midnight green. I think it was.
I think that was the 11, right?
The 11. I had that color.
Yeah, that was a really nice green.
Oh, that's my favorite color. So I got I bought the green case with the leather green.
And you are the case guy. You love cases.
I have a problem. I
think you do.
I got 15 iPhone cases for the 12.
Yeah, you got some cases to sell.
Sad about.
So
nobody. That's the problem. Nobody buys the cases. I've tried them in the past, and I end up giving them away. It's terrible.
Yeah. So
Jeff, wait, you don't have the Max, right? I would say I would send you the cases.
I do not have the Max.
Okay. Well, sorry.
But I appreciate the sentiment.
No problem. Let me know if you know anybody who needs.
12. Yeah. So. Okay. Overall, it was an exciting event. I enjoyed it. I'm happy with the iPhone. I was a little disappointed with the Apple Watch. In summary, I'd be interested in the iPad Mini 6th Gen, but I just bought the M1 11-inch Pro. I have no need for it. The 11-inch Pro is just perfect for me. So it looks like I'd probably be sticking with the Series 6 on the watch, though. I don't think I'm going to go anywhere with any change there. So, and
your whole judgment until you see it when it's out.
When it's, I guess, we're going to find out. At least now we have some time to think about it because it isn't coming out until later in the fall anyway. So, and we might walk into an Apple store and I say we, I mean me. And see that new Apple Watch and it could be that really deep dark blue color just captivates me and I'll be buying a watch and the whole time I'll be thinking Warren's going to be so happy with this.
That's how it happened to me though. Last year, I told Dave I'm not getting the 6 when I had the 5. And if you remember last year,
and you end up getting it.
Well, because they did a whole thing where it was hard to get, remember, and people were waiting weeks to get it. And then I walked into an Apple store, out of the blue, and they had it.
Right.
They had the one in stock that I wanted, and I'm like, whatever. So that's how it goes. So you're going to do that. You're going to walk in. You're going to see one. It's going to be available. It's going to be in blue with the. I think I had the band I wanted, which was actually this one, this olive green, stretchy size 8 thing, which I really like.
Me too.
And that the rest is history. So I mean, that's how they get you.
Absolutely,
that's how they get you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
that's the basis of this our lesson for today is that's how they get you.
They'll get you somehow. No.
Yes.
Yeah, so, and at some point, Warren will be able to throw my words back at me. Very likely.
Yeah, I did that. Dave is still not forgiving. Well, I don't know. David bought the iPhone. I want to say the 10 came out, and he was happy with his 8 Plus. Is that what it was?
Oh yeah, that was probably when I first met you, wasn't it? When I said I bought the 8, I had bought the 8, and then the 10 hadn't come out yet. Yeah, I remember that vividly. It's in an old episode. I bought the 8, and then like, 2 months later I sold the 8 and got the 10.
Yeah, you made a post saying I am not getting the 10. There's no way I'm getting the 10. I'm very happy with this 8 Plus. I said, Dave, we barely know each other, but I know you, and you're going to get this 10
and I did
very soon. And that's what happened. So I could tell when you guys are going to break.
Yeah,
I know what's going to happen.
Warren, you totally have me figured out.
Yeah. Well, you got it. So
you're one of. We're all one of a kind. We like our stuff.
So that was the event. I hope we enjoyed what our review of everything that happened. We're ordering our phones tomorrow. They won't arrive until probably a week from that Friday, so we won't have them in our hot hands and be able to give you a review until a couple weeks from now. But you can be rest assured that we will give our reviews of the 13 Pro Max and what our thoughts are going to be, what our thoughts are of it, and plenty of other great stuff here. But I think, guys, this is a good time to wrap things up because we talked about a lot of stuff here, and I hope you enjoyed it. So let's go ahead and wrap things up here. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. You can go to our YouTube page at youtube.com/DaveG65 as well. You can be watching us live as we record this. Usually it's on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time, and that's was that 5 p.m. Pacific Time. So come check us out during record times on Thursday nights, and you also can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. And Jeff, as always, absolutely, I love having you on the show. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and tell everybody where we can find you.
Well, first, thanks for inviting me back. And of course, I had an awesome time. I enjoy getting to spend an occasional Thursday evening with the two of you. It's absolutely a blast.
Yes.
Okay, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, JGamet both places, youtube.com/JGamet for my videos, and Tuesdays typically on Mac Voices Live, Thursday afternoons on The Big Show, Friday mornings on The Mac Show, and occasionally here, and other shows. Google me.
Yes. And Warren, we missed you the last couple weeks off and on. You're missing the Giants game. I don't know what the score is, but everything going okay with Mac to the future? Anything exciting going on there?
First of all, it's 7-7 tied, and we're no, it's busy on the Facebook.
Seems like
obviously people are talking about. There's the debate continues on of whether the upgrades are going to be worth it, and whether Apple thought it's touch or whether it's not, or whether
lots of opinions.
Yeah, but I mean it's a group of people that and a little tangent real fast, but I've noticed going to the major sites now if you, on Facebook, if you go to like Mac Rumors, 9 to 5 Mac, things like that, you realize the trolls are out, and they're out hard, especially this round. And it's like, people are hating on Apple a lot in these forums, and I think they're mostly Android people pretending to be Apple people, but whatever. Yeah. So anyways, the Facebook group that we're on is not like that at all. We're all kind of in the same ship, and we're realists for the most part. We know what Apple does right and what they do wrong, and we talk about it. So it's a good place to.
They're not perfect.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people forget that. I know the show ended, and yet here we are.
It's all right. That's what I do.
A lot
I
of
do this
people
too.
forget that Apple can't reinvent an entire market every single year.
Right.
And they don't realize that this is about a once every 20 year thing for Apple.
Yeah.
And they'll reinvent something again at some point and blow people's minds. And in the meantime, they will continue to do what they're doing, which is to make compelling products that
and they'll do minor
people
improvements, and it's for people who may not upgrade every year, and it's for people who need a phone. And there's never a version that comes out that says they really took a step backwards and this is horrible, I'm not going to do it. It's a better iteration of the device they made before, and that's what people are going to do if you need a device.
All right, I appreciate our insights about Apple. That's why we love Apple. That's why everybody listens to this show, and I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We had a lot of fun doing it, and a lot of good information. And we're going to be back next week, and hope to talk to you again soon.